I paid for everything: flights, chairs, decor, just to be at their table again. When I asked where I was sitting, my sister laughed. Your staff? You don't eat with us. Then she gave me the $6,700 catering bill. I just nodded, went upstairs, sent a 1-cent Venmo to all 19 guests titled, Enjoy, paused the family Netflix, changed their flights home, and booked a hotel. By midnight, 94 missed calls, burnt rolls in the sink, and then something happened no one will ever forget. I paid for everything, I said again, quietly, as if repetition would somehow make her hear me differently. My sister didn't even flinch. She turned to the florist standing behind her and pointed to the arrangements on the second table. No, not those, she said with a wave. They go to the head table. The nice one. The family one. Then she looked back at me. Oh, and by the way, when you're done helping set the chairs, catering needs you out back. They're short 2 people. I blinked. What do you mean, catering needs me? She smiled, lips curling like a fox before the bite. Your staff, right? You don't eat with us. Someone, probably our cousin Elise, giggled behind her. That sharp, high-pitched giggle that used to make me twitch as a kid. I stood there with a metal folding chair in my hand, wearing a linen shirt I bought just for today, surrounded by flower crates and melting trays of mini quiches. Then she shoved a white envelope in my chest. What's this? I asked, already knowing. Catering invoice, she said. $6,700. Since you insisted on helping with the costs. My fingers went numb. I don't remember walking away, not really. I remember stairs, steep, narrow, the kind that creak when you're trying to be quiet. I remember the sun flashing through stained glass. I remember a baby crying somewhere far off. But mostly I remember sitting on the bed upstairs in that tiny Airbnb above the venue, opening Venmo on my phone, and sending 19 separate transactions for 1 cent each. The note? Enjoy. Then I paused the family Netflix, logged into the group travel booking under my name, canceled every return ticket, rebooked one, mine, paid for a hotel 3 blocks away, with room service and blackout curtains. By midnight, 94 missed calls. A tray of burnt rolls flooded the sink. Someone was sobbing downstairs. And then, something happened. Something none of them will ever forget. I didn't even make it to the hotel before the messages started rolling in. First it was Mom. Sweetheart, there must be a misunderstanding. Come downstairs so we can talk. Then Dad, not bothering with fake concern. If you think you're punishing us, guess again. You're not a guest. You're lucky to even be here. My sister sent 3 laughing emojis followed by, well, drama king. But none of that surprised me. What hit me harder was what came next. They sent the group chat screenshots to everyone. The family thread, our cousin circle, even the stupid high school reunion Facebook group I forgot I was still in. My dad posted a photo from the wedding setup, me holding a tray of champagne flutes with the caption, "When your brother confuses generosity with ego." Aunt Marie commented, "Well, he's always been sensitive." Uncle Paul added, "Didn't he have that phase in college where he tried to be an artist or something?" And my cousin Ben wrote, "Elmeo, imagine throwing a fit over food when you paid for the chairs." That stung. Not because it wasn't true. I did pay for the chairs. But I didn't throw a fit. I left. Quietly. The receipts were real. $2,800 for flights. $6,700 catering. $1,300 decor and flowers. $950 for hair and makeup. Yes, for them, not me. Plus the $89 I spent printing the custom menus my sister designed but never picked up. They sent it all to me weeks before the wedding, casually. "Hey, can you cover this so we can lock it in?" I said yes. Every time. I thought it would make them see me differently, as part of the family again. But it turns out I wasn't part of the family. I was the wallet. The next morning, I woke up to find my Netflix still paused, but someone had tried to reset the password 6 times. When I opened the group email tied to the account, I saw what they'd done. They tried to lock me out. But I'd already changed everything. They were locked out of every shared service, Netflix, Disney+, even the Amazon account. Dad emailed me, "Grow up. This isn't how family acts." I replied with a screenshot of the Facebook post. No words. Just the image of him calling me a generous mistake. That was the moment it flipped. When I realized this wasn't just a toxic weekend. This had been building for years. It started subtly after Mom got sick. I was the one who moved back in for a while. The one who picked up her medication, scheduled her appointments, filled out the insurance claims. My sister came by twice, once to borrow my car and once to drop off candles she was trying to sell. Then Dad lost his job and suddenly I was paying the electric bill just until things stabilize. That just turned into 6 years. They never asked. They just hinted. You always manage somehow, Dad said once when I told him I was short on rent. You don't have a family of your own to support, Mom added sweetly, like my isolation was a bank account. And every time I said yes, a piece of me vanished. The wedding was just the final insult. I found out later they never intended for me to sit at the main table. I was listed in the planner's files as logistics assistant. Underlined. When I asked my sister about it during setup, she laughed and said, "Oh, come on. You always volunteer. Don't act like a victim now." That was her word. Volunteer. That word dug its nails in and ripped something open. Volunteer? I looked around and saw everything I had paid for. My fingerprints were on every ribbon, every playlist, every miniature dessert cup. But I wasn't in the celebration. I was beneath it. The real breaking point came when I saw a notification from my bank that same night. $6,700 catering invoice had been pulled without my final approval. I checked the payment method. It was my card. It had been added by Emma. Without permission. I called the number listed. The caterer answered cheerfully, "Oh, hi. You're the brother. Thanks for covering the surprise shrimp tower." Surprise shrimp tower? I didn't even eat shrimp. I was allergic. I hung up. Then I opened my email. Searched for every receipt from the last 2 months. Started screenshotting. Logging. Calculating. By 2 a.m., I had a folder labeled Family. Inside it, bank transfers. Flight confirmations. Emails confirming RSVP changes. Photos of the setup I was never allowed to sit at. Screenshots of the Venmo messages they sent each other mocking me. Hope he brings his own food. But the worst? A message from Emma to Dad. He'll pay. He always does. Just gild him a little. Cry if you have to. Dad's reply? Already on it. Told him Mom's tired. That usually works. That's when I stopped being hurt and started getting ready. I didn't just book a hotel for myself that night. I booked a conference room for the next day. I emailed a guest list, all 19 of the family members who were attending the wedding. Subject line? Brunch tomorrow, one final gift. They didn't know I was bringing receipts. Literally. And they didn't know I'd be pressing play on something that would burn all the lies to the ground. The room was too quiet for a brunch. I'd reserved the conference space under family thank you breakfast, complete with a continental spread and sparkling water in glass bottles. Because if I was going to burn bridges, I wanted everyone well-fed and fully alert. 19 chairs. All filled. Some looked confused. Others suspicious. My aunt asked if I was going to apologize for last night. Emma showed up in designer sunglasses and a smirk. Dad didn't sit. He hovered behind a chair like a man waiting for applause. I stood up and smiled. Thanks for coming. Since I'm just staff, I said, glancing at Emma, consider this my exit interview. I clicked the remote. The projector behind me blinked to life. Slide 1. What I paid for. A list. Flights, $2,860. Catering, $6,734. Flowers and decor, $1,297. Hair and makeup, $950. Custom menus, $89. Venue deposit, $4,000. Total, $15,930. Murmurs. A few jaws dropped. Aunt Rose whispered, "Wait, he paid for all that?" Slide 2 appeared. Screenshots of messages. From Emma. From Dad. He'll pay. He always does. Cry if you have to. Tell him Mom's tired. Gasps. A cousin covered her mouth. Slide 3. How they thanked me. A video clip. My sister's voice from the rehearsal day. Your staff. You don't eat with us. Then Dad's Facebook post. When your brother confuses generosity with ego. I looked at Dad. You posted this the same day I paid for your flight here. No one said a word. I clicked again. Slide 4. The catering invoice with my card info. Surprise shrimp tower highlighted in red. I'm allergic, I said flatly. But thanks. Emma laughed once. Sharp and ugly. Oh my God. Are you seriously doing this right now? You're that petty? I stared at her. No, I said. You are. I just brought documentation. Then came the last slide. What comes next? I paused. Since I was treated like hired help, I've submitted invoices to your vendors requesting refunds under false authorization claims. Some are under review. Emma stood up. That's fraud. I didn't blink. No, fraud is using someone's card without consent. Which you did. Dad's face twisted. You're trying to embarrass us. No, I said. You did that. I'm just making sure the audience sees it clearly. Then I turned to the group. I paused the Netflix. I canceled the flights. I've reclaimed the hotel bookings under my name. If you're stranded here, that's not my problem. You made that clear when you sent me the catering bill and sat me at the back like a servant. Uncle Jeff stood, arms crossed. You're blowing this out of proportion. I pulled out my phone. Am I? I tapped once. A new screen popped up, an audio file. I hit play. Emma's voice. He's so desperate to be accepted. Just let him pay. He's like a golden retriever. Throw him a bill and he'll chase it. The room went silent. Emma lunged at the laptop. Turn it off. I shut the lid. You wanted staff? This is what staff does. We log everything. Then I turned to the last guest in the room, Alex, her ex-boyfriend. I had invited him. Silently. Carefully. He stood up now, holding a folder of his own. By the way, I said to the room. He has something to share, too. Alex opened the folder. Printed screenshots. Messages. Receipts. DMs. I stayed quiet when she lied about me, he said, looking directly at Emma. But I'm not staying quiet now. She stole from me, forged my signature on a lease, and told people I hid her. None of it's true. And now, you'll all see that. Emma turned white. You're crazy. Alex didn't respond. He just handed the folder to Aunt Marie, who began flipping through it slowly. Enough, Dad barked. You've made your point. Sit down before you ruin everyone's day. I stepped closer. You already ruined mine. And every other day you treated me like a bank account in a human suit. He clenched his fists. Mom finally spoke. We are your family. No, I said, my voice steady. Family doesn't humiliate you for fun and call it tradition. Family doesn't treat your help like an invoice and your absence like an inconvenience. I picked up my jacket. This is the last table I'll ever set for you. I was never staff. I was your son, and you treated me like a butler with a credit score. I walked toward the door. No one followed. And just before I stepped out, I said without turning around, tips already included. You paid in humiliation. Then I left, and the real silence finally began. I didn't go back to the hotel that night. I didn't need sleep. I needed distance. I hailed a cab, gave the driver cash, and told him to take me to the train station. Any direction, I didn't care. He asked, north or south? I said away. First class ticket. Private cabin. Spotty Wi-Fi. That was perfect. The silence started working on them immediately. My phone buzzed 94 times in less than 16 hours. Emma texted, you just destroyed our wedding. Who does that to their own family? You made it personal. Dad left 4 voicemails. The first started with, look, if you wanted attention, there are other ways to. The last ended in, if you think we'll BG you, think again. Mom, she sent a photo. Burnt rolls in the sink. No caption. Then a second photo. A group of folding chairs stacked haphazardly in a corner. Then a third. The main table, stripped bare, with a single wilted centerpiece still standing. Finally, a voice memo, shaky. I just wanted us to be together. I don't know why you're doing this. I didn't reply. Not because I was cruel, but because they didn't deserve my words anymore. They'd had them for free for years. 3 days later, they realized the silence wasn't a bluff. That's when things got feral. I was checking into a quiet hotel in another city when the front desk clerk looked up and said, Sir, someone just tried to call here asking about your room. I smiled. Let them. They tried to find me. Through mutual friends. Through Venmo. Through LinkedIn. Emma even sent a message through an old college friend of mine. Can you tell him I'm sorry? That we didn't mean for it to go that far. But they did mean it. Every chair I sat. Every expense I covered. Every time they laughed while I stood in the background, hoping for a thank you that never came. So I didn't respond. On the 5th day, they realized something worse. They didn't just lose my money. They lost access. Netflix? Gone. Amazon? Gone. Shared travel miles? All transferred. The family calendar I used to maintain for holidays, doctor appointments, reminders? Deleted. Even the emergency credit card I had quietly set up in my sister's name, just in case, was canceled. She messaged me in a panic. I had a flight booked for next week. Why would you do this? I replied with a single sentence. You're not staff. Figure it out. That was just the start. I pulled my name from every utility account tied to their homes. Stopped every autopay. Revoked access to every shared login. Even the Spotify playlist I used to update for Mom's walks? Gone. I renamed it Not Your Son Anymore before deleting it entirely. Then I found the old folder. The one I kept hidden for years. Not out of spite, but out of preparation. Bank records, Venmo logs, screenshots of every time they promised to pay me back. They never did. And the final gem, a signed document from 2 years ago when I co-signed a personal loan for Dad's business idea. Guess who defaulted? I forwarded the file to the collections agency with a short note. This was never mine. Let me know what you need. Within 48 hours, his credit score dropped 112 points. Then came the messages that mattered most. Aunt Lisa, you were right to walk away. We all saw it. We just stayed quiet. My cousin Caleb. We laughed at your expense because it was easier than standing up. I'm sorry. I really am. Even Emma's ex-boyfriend messaged again. Thank you for inviting me to that brunch. That was the cleanest closure I've ever had. But it was Grandpa's call that hit different. He didn't waste time on small talk. You did it, he said. I didn't mean to blow it all up. He paused. Yes, you did. And you should have. I waited. You gave them every chance to treat you like a person. They chose a punching bag. You finally let go of the rope. Then he said the one thing I didn't know I needed to hear. I'm proud of you. And not for the revenge. For surviving it long enough to walk away. On day 8, I got one final message from my mother. Just 3 words. Please come home. I didn't answer. Instead, I forwarded it to myself, archived it in a folder labeled proof, and silenced the thread. Because home wasn't a place I ever had with them. It was a burden, a performance. They didn't want me. They wanted my access, my labor, my compliance. And now, they had none of it. I checked into a long-term suite by the water. No forwarding address. No emergency contacts. No spare key left, just in case. I made coffee each morning and watched the waves without needing to wonder if someone would call asking for a favor, a wire transfer, or a ride to the airport. My phone was quiet. My inbox was clean. And for the first time in years, my reflection looked like someone I actually recognized. They wanted a servant. I gave them silence. And that silence? It echoed louder than any speech I could have made. It's strange how silence can feel louder than rage. Weeks passed. I moved into a place they didn't know. Changed my number. Updated my emergency contact list. And for the first time in my life, when I looked at my phone and saw 0 missed calls, it felt like peace, not punishment. Mom kept posting. Family is supposed to forgive. Forgiveness is strength. Emma tried to do damage control. She posted a story with a Bible quote. She tagged her hairstylist. Then she posted a poll. Should you always put family first? 0 votes. Dad? He went quiet. That's how I knew he was hurting. When the money stops flowing, narcissists starve. I received a letter in the mail with his handwriting on the envelope. I didn't open it. I burned it in a metal bowl on my balcony and watched the smoke rise like incense for a god I no longer prayed to. Then, I did something final. I logged into the joint family email, the one I used to pay bills from, and I sent a message to every relative on the contact list. This is not a temporary break. This is the end of service. If you ever valued me, you should have spoken louder than your silence. Subject line. No longer available. I closed the tab, deleted the email, and then I opened my donation app. I scrolled past every name I recognized. Emma's dance fundraiser. Mom's retirement meal train. Dad's fake veteran foundation. I kept scrolling. And then I found something better. A shelter. For adults who aged out of foster care. People who, like me, learned early that family isn't always where you're born. Sometimes, it's where you rescue yourself. I donated exactly $15,930. The same amount I spent on Emma's wedding. In the note field, I wrote, from someone who finally got up from the wrong table. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. Done with playing the good sibling. Done with buying seats at tables I was never meant to sit at. Done with the begging, the bartering, the emotional ransom. And so I took the last call I would ever take from any of them. It was Mom. Blocked number. Probably borrowed someone's phone. I answered, only to hear, please, let's start over. Let's just talk. I waited, then said, this number is no longer in service. And I hung up. 2 days later, I changed the Wi-Fi name in my new apartment to Not Your Son Network. No one will ever connect to it but me. And that's the point. Family isn't blood. It's not guilt. It's not inheritance. It's not who you bail out when they gamble your love away. Family is who shows up when there's nothing left to take. So the next family table I sit at, I'll choose the guest list. And this time, I'll eat. At the head of the table. With peace on my plate. And no one asking for the bill.